Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. I'm slightly differently attired today. That's because I've been rehearsing, for want of a better word, for a video I'm going to be doing with Mr. WC21 brackets UK Productions Limited, so I thought it might be fun to do a sneak peek of that. Anyway, I'm here to talk about wine, not my other sort of silly YouTube endeavours. So today, some Nuits, an old favourite. I have probably reviewed this exact wine of this vintage before. I forget now which vintages I've covered of this, not. It's Philippe Gavignet, the producer, favourite producer of mine. His village level Nuits, which is just called VAV in Old Vines series, and it's the 2019 vintage. Where is the vintage label? It's there, isn't it? Sorry, it's probably a bit dim, the lighting, isn't it? So I think I have probably reviewed this in a video before, but not wearing a hat. Might change the experience. I had a visit from Tom from Fingal Rock earlier this week. It's always nice to have a doorstep chat with Tom, my favourite wine merchant, swap notes on our recent favourite wines and so on. He's in agreement with me that 2019 is a particularly good vintage. I think everyone's in agreement here, even those vintage charts that sometimes I don't seem to agree with. They've given, the one I was looking at the other day, it might be a Berry Brothers and Rudd one, I can't remember who produced it, but some professional wine critics have given 2019 for the Côte de Nuits overall a very high score in the high 90s. By all accounts, don't just take it from me, 2019 is shaping up to be one of the best vintages of recent years. So like I said, I've probably had this before, but not in a hat. If I put too much wine in the glass, can I occasionally get feedback about overfilling the glass? And that is below the return. My mum was saying the other day that she'd been told you're supposed to have your first nose of the wine before you swill the glass. Before any swilling, I forget this note, and it always somehow reminds me of icing sugar. I don't actually think it is icing sugar. It must be something I mentally associate with icing sugar. Glacé cherry, something like that. But I suspect if I do give that a bit of a swill, then some fruit will emerge. Yes. So that is interesting. Perhaps there is some merit to that idea of having a first nose before you actually do any swilling, because now I'm getting some dark berry fruit, tiny bit black curranty today. Actually, I don't recall it being that way inclined. Previous tastings of the Nuits from Philippe Gavignet, but that's not unpleasant. Possibly a hint of plum, but it's definitely not giving me a sense of one of those sort of thick, rich, dark, plummy sort of wines. Yeah, definitely veering a bit more blackcurrant, dark fruits. Might be a bit of black cherry in there. Okay, something slightly floral. I do feel the hat might be somehow distracting my nose. It's not a hat that gets worn very often, so it's sort of stuffed in a cupboard and it might be a tiny bit musty. So if I start to, detect kind of sous bois, forest floral, that kind of stuff, it's probably just my hat. Full of fruit on the palate, very, very fruity. There, again, I suppose blackcurrant, going a little bit plummy, going a little bit black cherry, definitely in that sort of darker fruit realm. I don't remember this being quite such a dark fruit character. That's interesting. Around the edges, actually, and again, this is something I don't recall previously, perhaps I'll need to go and read my notes. I'm getting little edges of licorice. It's fairly subtle. It's